Hey, I'm gonna be reviewing another movie, since I got nothing else to review and I wanna keep up with my channel. These are just gonna be random movie reviews of, like, movies I like, and, yeah. I wanted to start another series review, and it was gonna be of the Hellraiser movies, but I only remember the first three, cause those are the only ones I like. And I don't remember, and I remember Revelations and Judgment, but I don't remember parts 4 through 8. And I don't know if I'm gonna sit there and try to rewatch them again. So I'm just gonna do these random reviews right now. So the movie I want to review is Candyman, which came out in 1992 and is directed by Bernard Rose. Candyman is adapted from a short story called Candyman by Clive Barker, which I never read the short story, so I don't know how it's different from the movie, or how the movie's different from the short story. Candyman, I I was like a few years ago, I was just want to watch uh sequels to horror movies and stuff. I don't know, it was weird. Like, I watched like a bunch of horror horror franchises. Like, I watched all the Hellraisers, all the Children of the Corn movies, all the Amityville movies, and those are never gonna end. And I was like looking up lists, because like I'd seen, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, the Friday the 13th movies, Halloween movies, and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies before. I seen all them, and I just like, oh, I want to watch these other ones. And well, I came across the Candyman movies, and I heard of Candyman because, like, in the movie, it's like an urban legend thing. When I get in the plot, I'll explain it in depth. But I remember, like, when I was in school and stuff, uh, you had like the Bloody Mary thing where you stand in front of the mirror and you count 3 times, and Bloody Mary's supposed to pop up. Well, they did that with Candyman too. So I knew of Candyman like that, and when I heard the title, like, I thought it was gonna be some stupid movie, like some stupid uh low budget slasher movie. And I was like that when I first heard of Pumpkinhead until I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. Well, this is the same thing that happened to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch the Candyman movies. I have seen all 3 of them, but I don't remember 2 and 3 that well. 2 I know a little bit, I remember a little bit of, not 3. So, so I watched it, and this movie is amazing. Like with Exorcist 3, this movie didn't scare me, but everything about it just is amazing to me. God, I hate when my eyes get like this. Um, so the movie is about a student at this college, and her friend are trying to figure out. There's this project called Cabrini Green in Chicago, and they keep hearing of this urban legend called the Candyman. Well, the lady, she is um she studies urban legends, and she teaches about urban legends. Or no, I don't know. She studies urban legends. I think her husband is the one that teaches about it. So she keeps hearing the stories about Candyman in this project, and what they say he does is that he crawls through, like, like in the apartments. He makes this tunnel system, and he crawls through like this tunnel system, and he goes through mirrors and he kills people in their bathroom. Well, they said, oh, they're like a serial killer. It's probably a serial killer, but the residents of that neighborhood, they said no, it's an urban legend. He's punishing us for what we're doing. Because Cabrini Green was a real place. It was a real housing project, and it was infamous for like its high crime rate and gang activity, and drugs and stuff like that. Um, I think they say punish him for not believing in him. Oh, but so they start her Virginia Madsen. I forgot her name. Helen. Yeah, Helen. She starts investigating this, and then her friends start investigating this, but she starts getting like really Helen's character starts getting really obsessed with this thing, with the myth, and you don't know like if she's because a bunch of killing starts happening and it's getting linked back to her. So you don't know if it's actually her killing people or if it's the Candyman. So there's an element of mystery to it. But since, like, there's two sequels, I think it's the Candyman, that he's real. Um, that's the basic plot of the movie. Tony Todd plays the Candyman, and man, is he intimidating. Um, I, I, I don't, I haven't really seen him play lead roles in movies. I mean, the only other movies I've really seen him in was, the Hatchet movies, and he has, like, a small part in that. And those, he's also in the Final Destination franchise, but he only has small parts in those. But he plays, like, the same character. He plays the same character in both of those franchises, Hatchet and, Final Destination. But this is the only time I've seen him as a lead, and he does an amazing job. Like, because he's a really tall guy. Um, tall, not lanky. I guess he's like thin, and he's just intimidating looking. And his voice is like very bassy and stuff. And like, there's like he has a lot of great lines in this movie. Like "Be my victim" and "It was always you, Helen." I'm not doing it justice, but I'm just saying the famous lines in the movie. Then there's this opening monologue. He does a great opening monologue where he's like, I'll cut you from going to gullet. And just the way he said it is very, like, creepy. I liked that this movie was actually filmed in Cabrini Green during that time where it was, they had the gangs running around. There was like the high crime rate and stuff, and they actually filmed there during that. I think they had to make a deal with one of the gangs so they could film there, and so it kind of gives the movie like a sense of real danger and intimidation, because like at any moment they could get shot at, they can get injured, anything. So there's like kind of like, because of the realism in it, it kind of like gives you like that sense of danger. Like if you know that going into the movie, you're like, wow, like there's something, you know, like they could get injured. They could have got injured while they were making this movie. I liked the urban setting, because that's some rare in horror you don't really see in horror films. Horror films are always usually set like in one house or in the woods or a cabin, something like that, or a castle, whatever. And this is set in the city in Chicago, in a housing project in the in the ghetto, and There's not a lot of movies like that. Like, I like Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Even though most of it takes place on a boat, I like the part where it goes, when they go to Manhattan, cause there is just like a feeling like, there's just like a slimy, disgusting feeling to it. Like, I don't know, for some reason it just fits with with the horror element. um, I like when they're going through her and her friends were going through the rundown buildings, and there's like these freaking murals everywhere, and they just look creepy. There's one where like she walks through, I guess it's the Candyman, his mouth is like wide open, and she walks through like she's like coming out of his mouth. And I was like, wow, that's like a very powerful image in the movie. Um, the one thing I that really stands out to me, and what like made me love this movie, is the soundtrack. The score by Philip Glass is freaking amazing. It sounds like it's not supposed to be for a horror film, and I think that's why it works. Because you listen to it, it sounds like it should be like in a drama or, romance kind of movie. And I know this movie is kind of like a dark romance because, Candyman's trying to get back with He's trying to get with Helen. Which they don't go into the Candyman origin that much. They do it in the second movie. They tell what happened to him, why he became the Candyman, and how he got the name. But they only do like a little uh tidbit of it in this movie when she goes to dinner and she's talking to one of the other professors, and he tells her like a little bit of like the backstory about him and like how he became an urban legend. I forgot his real name, but yeah, it's great. It's a great movie. I love. I don't know. That soundtrack is freaking amazing. Like, like after I watched this movie, I listened to it on repeat like over and over again because it's that great. It's like Hellraiser. Hellraiser has a good soundtrack too for like the original score. Oh my god, it's amazing. Um, there's a few scenes that stick out to me. Is one scene in particular is when talk she goes to Cabrini Green and she's not getting any info out of anybody. So she runs across this little boy that lives there, and he tells her the story about this little boy who got attacked in the bathroom by Candyman. And he takes her to the bathrooms, and the bathrooms are locked off, and she wants to go in there and like, I guess get pictures and stuff. And he tells her the story about what happened to the boy, and it shows a flashback to what happened to him. And that scene was like very creepy, man. And I remember, because when I saw that scene, I thought I'd never seen this movie before, but I remember seeing that scene as a kid. Like, when I was watching it, because, like, when he was telling the story and how everything was set up, I was like, oh my god, it's like I've seen this, or parts of it when I was a kid. Because that scene, like, stuck out vividly to me. Um, there's a scene where she goes, one of the ladies she's trying to talk to, she's, about the Candyman and stuff, she has a baby. And, I know it's a spoiler, but this movie's been out for a long time. She kidnaps the baby, goes missing. Like, all you hear is screaming. Like, Helen wakes up in the bathroom. She's covered in blood, and you just hear the lady screaming. And she comes out and see what's going on, and she's screaming that her baby's missing. But the woman had a Rottweiler, and the Rottweiler got decapitated, and it's like very bloody. There's like blood everywhere, and like carnage and stuff, and this lady's freaking out because her baby's missing. And just, I don't know, it's just something about the screams or something that kind of like unsettled me, you know. And then another scene is when Helen gets committed to the mental institution, and she has to go. Sorry, she has to go talk to a therapist, and like the therapist is, she's saying that, oh, this Candyman doing this, and he's, showing her videotapes and stuff, like they're recording her, and he said there's no one on here. He said you're crazy, you're delusional and stuff, and then he's just sitting there, it's like all silent, and then you go, oh, oh, like that, and you see like a hook come up through his back, and there's like blood coming out of his mouth, and goes like that. I was like, holy shit, like that. I was not expecting that. Like that came out of nowhere. There's the big fight at the end in the fire pit. Yeah, that's where I still think that Candyman's real. Like I think that he actually died. He got trapped in the fire pit or something. And Helen dies, and then at the end, because the end is confusing, because Ellen's husband, or Helen, damn, her husband's been cheating on her throughout the movie. He's cheating on her with another woman, and she finds out about it. But at the end of the movie, he's with the woman, and for some reason he starts getting depressed about Helen, so he goes into the bathroom and he calls her name 5 times, and she comes out and she kills him. She guts him. And I was like, I don't know, it was kind of a stupid ending. But I was like, I don't know how they really should have ended the movie. Maybe they should have ended it with Helen, dying when she escapes the fire pit, when she's rescuing the baby. And then end it where residents of Cabrini Green come to her funeral, and they drop the Candyman hook on her casket. I think that's where it should have ended. I mean, I know that there's one scene they said when the Candyman had the bees in his mouth. Those were actual bees, and they did sting him. And I forgot they said how much they paid him for that, but I was like, there's not enough money in the world you can give me to do that. So kudos to Tony Todd for doing that. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say. What else I'm going to say? Yeah, this movie is just interesting. I like the story, like the whole urban legend thing, because I'm like into like urban legends and conspiracies and stuff like that. So that like instantly interested me. I like the setting of Cabrini Green, so it gave the film like a sense of danger to it. I liked some of the scenes like I described in the movie those like stood out to me. The music's like the one thing that really stands out to me. Is amazing. I love the music in this movie. It's like if one thing I recommend is listen to the soundtrack for this movie. I mean, you won't regret it. But anyways, that's my review.